The morning sun glinted off the polished silver hull of Skylux Flight 417, a gleaming flagship aircraft of the fictional Skylux International Airways, as passengers settled into first class beneath soft blue lighting and the hum of jazz that always played before boarding completed. The cabin smelled faintly of bergamot and leather, a space reserved for elite travelers who expected perfection and usually received it. But today, perfection shattered the moment Elias Turner, a tall, soft-spoken software architect in his early 30s, took his seat in 2A. He wasn't alone. Two black women in elegant suits sat across from him, discussing an upcoming tech conference. A black father and his teenage daughter settled quietly in row 1, smiling over a shared book. A young Nigerian entrepreneur refreshed her presentation slides on a tablet, excitement glowing in her eyes. For once, representation wasn't token. There was a beautiful, balanced mix of passengers. But not everyone saw beauty in that. In 3A, a red-faced man in an expensive linen blazer stiffened the moment he scanned the cabin. His lips curled, his eyes sharpened with disgust. And then, loud enough for nearly everyone in first class to hear, he spat out, "What is this? Why are there so many black people up here today? This is first class. Did they upgrade the whole economy section or something?" Gasps burst through the cabin. Not the quiet, shocked kind. These were sharp inhales, wide eyes, stunned stillness. The Nigerian woman froze mid-swipe, thumbs trembling. The father in 1C instinctively shifted to shield his daughter, instinct rising like a shield. Elias's heart pounded, anger, shame, disbelief, all crashing at once. The two black women across the aisle exchanged a look, not of surprise, but fatigue. A fatigue worn only by those who have been here before. The flight attendant, Leela, a young woman with a sleek bun and crisp uniform, approached cautiously. "Sir, I need you to lower your voice," she said carefully. "You're disturbing other passengers." He scoffed. "I'm disturbing them? They're the ones disturbing the balance of this cabin. I paid for first class. I don't want to sit in some diversity project experiment." His voice thundered. Heads turned. Cameras lifted. Elias clenched his jaw. The father in 1C stood halfway, voice low but firm. "That's enough." The man barked, "Sit down! You people—" Leela stepped between them quickly. "Sir, stop speaking immediately." But he didn't. He doubled down, venom spilling. "This is ridiculous. What happened to standards? I want to speak to the pilot, now." Leela's face flushed with dread. This was beyond her authority. The entire cabin felt like a tightening wire, electricity crackling beneath the surface. Elias could feel the rage burning behind his calm expression, the injustice sitting like a stone on every chest of every black passenger who had come here simply to fly like anyone else. And then, without warning, the cockpit door clicked. A hush swept the cabin. Out stepped Captain Renata Hale, one of the few black female captains in the entire airline's global fleet. Tall, commanding, her presence cut through tension like an aircraft slicing through clouds. She scanned the cabin slowly, locking eyes with each black passenger, giving them silent acknowledgement, silent protection, before finally landing her gaze on the offender in 3A. Captain Hale stepped forward with the composed intensity of a woman who'd fought her entire career for altitude in a world that never expected her to rise. Her Navy captain's uniform fit with crisp precision, her gold stripes catching the overhead lights, her captain's wings glinting like steel. "I understand," she began, voice smooth like tempered iron, "that there has been a disturbance in my cabin." Her cabin, her aircraft, her sky. The man in 3A straightened as if expecting the captain to side with him. "Yes," he said, pointing around arrogantly. "This section is full of, well, you can see it. It doesn't feel right. I paid for comfort, not—" Captain Hale raised a hand. "Stop," The word was calm, but so sharp it sliced the sentence clean off his tongue. "Before you say another word, understand something," she said, stepping closer. "There is not a single seat on this aircraft, first class, business, or economy, that has a color requirement." Murmurs rippled. She continued, "Every person here paid for their seat. Every person here belongs in their seat. And any discomfort you're experiencing is caused only by your own prejudice, not by the presence of these passengers." Phones recorded. Eyes widened. Breath held. The man huffed. You can't talk to me like that. I'll have your job." Captain Hale smiled slightly. Not a friendly smile. A dangerous one. "Sir, I am the commanding officer of this aircraft. My authority on this plane is absolute." She leaned closer, her voice dropping so the entire cabin had to lean in. "And you have just violated federal aviation policy by creating a discriminatory disturbance. So let me be perfectly clear. Your behavior is not only unacceptable, it is grounds for immediate removal." Leela attempted to hide her grin behind her hand. Elias felt his chest rise with relief he didn't know he needed. The father in 1C exhaled shakily, nodding at the captain in silent gratitude. The man sputtered, "You can't remove me. I have a meeting. You have no idea who I am." Captain Hale didn't blink. "Sir, I know exactly who and what you are. Security will meet you at the jet bridge." She turned toward the front. "All cabin crew, prepare for deplaning the disruptive passenger." Gasps echoed. The man jumped up, furious. "This is outrageous! I didn't do anything!" Captain Hale stepped aside as two airport security officers entered. Calmly, professionally, they escorted him toward the exit as he shouted insults no one honored with a response. The moment he disappeared, the cabin collectively exhaled as if a storm had passed. Captain Hale addressed the remaining passengers. "On behalf of Skylux International," she said, "I apologize for what you endured. This aircraft is a safe space for every traveler, always." Her voice softened slightly. "We will continue boarding shortly. Thank you for your patience and your dignity." She nodded, then turned toward the cockpit, and the entire first-class cabin erupted in applause so powerful it shook the walls. As the applause faded, Captain Hale paused at the cockpit door, turning back to the passengers, her eyes landing first on the father and his daughter in 1C. She walked over to them quietly, the cabin falling silent again. "Are you both all right?" she asked, voice gentle. The teenager nodded, though her hands trembled slightly as she tucked her braids behind her ears. The father placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. "We're all right now," he said. Captain Hale nodded, then crouched slightly so she was eye level with the girl. "Listen to me," she said softly. "Nothing about you is a disturbance. Nothing about you is out of place. You belong anywhere you choose to be." The girl's eyes welled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Captain Hale gave her a small smile before standing and turning to Elias, who had silently watched the entire moment, every muscle tight. "Thank you for staying calm," she told him. "Some people think silence is weakness, but sometimes it's strategy." Elias exhaled slowly. "I've lived this before," he admitted. "Too many times." The two black women across the aisle nodded in agreement, their eyes shining with emotions they didn't speak aloud: recognition, exhaustion, gratitude. Captain Hale examined them all, her gaze sweeping the cabin like a shield. "I want you to know," she said, voice steady, "I didn't step out because I'm a pilot. I stepped out because I'm a black woman who refuses to let ignorance fly any higher than it already has." A ripple of emotion filled the air, heavy, powerful, true. She added one more line, her voice dropping into a tone that felt like both warning and promise. And as long as I'm commanding this aircraft, no one will ever be degraded on my watch." With that, she pressed her hat back onto her head, nodded once, and disappeared into the cockpit. The door shut, the engines hummed to life, and for the first time since boarding began, every black passenger on that plane felt something rare. Safety at 35,000 feet, wrapped not in privilege, but in justice. If this story stirred something inside you, if it made your chest tighten or your pulse rise, or reminded you of moments when you too were judged before you ever spoke, don't let that feeling fade when the video ends. Stories like this aren't just stories. They're reflections of real struggles people face every day in airports, workplaces, classrooms, and countless moments where dignity gets challenged by ignorance. If Captain Hale's courage moved you, if the strength shown by those passengers reminded you why standing up matters, then let your voice be part of the impact this story makes. Leave a comment below. Tell us what moment grabbed your heart the hardest. Share this video with someone who still needs to learn what accountability looks like. And if you want more stories that expose injustice, elevate truth, and remind people that humanity should always outweigh prejudice, then subscribe to this channel. Every like, every share, every comment helps push these messages into the world where they can do real good. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting conversation, awareness, and change. So don't stay silent. Use your voice. Amplify this story. Stand with those who've been dismissed, disrespected, or made to feel small. Together, we can turn moments like these into movements that reshape the world we share. Be part of that change today.